In the city of Lagos, where the streets echo with the noise of yellow danfos, and the night markets never sleep, there lived a young woman named Lilian. She was 24 years old, graceful in movement, with long smooth black hair that shimmered whenever sunlight touched it. Her beauty was not the ordinary kind. It was the type that made strangers pause mid-step, the type that made aunties whisper behind folded wrappers, the type that elders would call a blessing mixed with temptation. Lilian came from a family of wealth. Her father had built a mansion that stood proudly in the upscale area of Ikoyi. Inside those gates, Lilian lived like a princess, not for lack of ambition, but because her parents had carved the world soft for her feet. Still, she was not careless. Friends often said she had a sharp tongue and a clever heart, the kind that could cut through any deception. But life has a way of testing even the cleverest of hearts. When Chief Adewale, a billionaire known for his vast estates, oil blocks, and political influence, came knocking with words of love, the entire neighborhood buzzed. Some said, "Oh, Lilian's life has finished. A billionaire husband will bury her in gold." Others whispered, "Wealth can blind the eyes, let us see if her heart will guide her or betray her." And so, the stage was set for a tale of pride, pretense, and the washing away of lies. But the true test of love was still ahead, and water would speak louder than diamonds. Chief Adewale was no ordinary suitor. He was in his mid-40s, tall and broad-shouldered, with the kind of presence that made silence fall wherever he entered. His car stretched like a convoy, his Agbada swept floors as though mocking dust itself, and his words carried the weight of money that had silenced many mouths before. When he came to Lilian's mansion, he did not come alone. Trumpeters sounded at the gate. Praise singers followed. Drummers beat their batter until neighbors rushed out in curiosity. In Nigerian tradition, a man who wishes to marry a daughter of pride must not come empty-handed. Adewale knew this. He came bearing yams, wines, expensive wrappers, and boxes of jewelry. Before the gathering of elders, he knelt and said, "Lilian, from the moment I set eyes on you, I knew my search was over. Be my wife, and together, our names will echo beyond Nigeria, beyond Africa, across the world." Her friends gasped, her mother smiled, and her father nodded in pride. Lilian, however, did not smile so easily. She stared at Adewale with calm eyes, as though searching for a truth that was hidden behind the glitter. After a long pause, she answered, "We shall see." The crowd cheered, mistaking her words for acceptance. But deep inside, Lilian's spirit was unsettled. She knew what the elders often said, "Not all that glitters is gold, some shine only to blind you." She had no idea that her patience would soon meet a storm disguised as a man's clever test. After Adewale's grand proposal, Lagos could not stop talking. Women at the market bent over baskets of tomatoes, whispering, "Did you hear? Chief Adewale wants to marry Lilian." Men at beer parlors slapped tables, saying, "That girl is lucky. Some people pray for only crumbs, but she is about to marry the baker himself." Yet, Lilian's heart was not at rest. Her spirit nudged her, like an elder warning a child not to touch a burning pot. She remembered her grandmother's words, "A rich man's love must be tested, because gold can cover a snake's skin." Her friends laughed at her hesitation. One said, "Lilian, you think too much. A billionaire wants you. Is that not the dream of every woman?" Another added, "If you refuse him, another lady will swallow him up tomorrow." But Lilian shook her head slowly. Not all dreams bring rest. Some dreams come with chains. And so, while the city celebrated her supposed engagement, Lilian prepared her spirit quietly. Unknown to her, Adewale, too, was preparing. Not to bless her, but to test her, in a way that would shake the very foundation of her trust. Chief Adewale was a man of wealth, yes, but he was also a man of pride. Many women had chased after him only for his money. Some had even pretended to love him, while secretly counting his bank accounts. He feared being fooled again. So, in the stillness of night, he called his closest advisor and said, "Let us test Lilian. Let us see if she loves me, or only the riches that surround me." The advisor frowned. "My chief, a test of love is like fire. It can cook food, but it can also burn down the house." But Adewale's pride was larger than his caution. "No, if she truly loves me, she will remain. If she does not, then better I lose her now than later. The plan was simple. He would pretend to have lost everything. His cars, his houses, his accounts, gone. He would appear before Lilian as a man stripped of wealth, and he would watch her reaction. What Adewale did not know was this: sometimes, when a man digs a pit for another, his own feet may slip inside first. The morning of the test came. Adewale dressed not in his shining agbada, but in a simple, worn-out shirt. He left his golden wristwatch at home. His convoy of cars remained parked in the garage. Instead, he took a battered taxi to Lilian's mansion. As he stepped down from the cab, neighbors rubbed their eyes. "Is this not Chief Adewale? Where are his cars?" some murmured. Children giggled at his faded slippers. The air itself seemed to whisper mockery at his disguise. Inside the mansion, Lilian was with her friends. They laughed over chilled Zobo drinks, music humming softly in the background. Suddenly, the gateman rushed in. "Madam, Chief Adewale is at the gate, but something is strange." Her friends jumped up in surprise. "What?" "A billionaire arriving in a taxi." They rushed outside, dragging Lilian with them. And there stood Adewale, sweating under the sun, looking nothing like the man who once dazzled the city. He cleared his throat and said, "Lilian, I have lost everything. My businesses, my wealth, all gone. Will you still be my wife?" The compound grew silent. Even the birds seemed to pause. All eyes turned to Lilian. At first, Lilian did not move. She stared at Adewale, her long black hair falling like a curtain over her shoulder. Her friends whispered among themselves. One muttered, "This must be a joke." Another scoffed, "If he is broke, what is left? Let him go." Then slowly, Lilian stepped forward. She did not cry. She did not tremble. Instead, she picked up a metal bucket lying near the tap. Without a word, she filled it with cold water. Adewale watched in confusion. "Lilian," he asked. She lifted the bucket, her eyes hard, her hands steady. Then, splash. The water cascaded down his head, drenching his clothes, soaking him before everyone present. Gas filled the air. Her friends screamed, half in shock, half in laughter. "Oh, Lilian, you poured water on a billionaire." Lilian's voice rang clear, sharp as a blade. "Chief Adewale, if you wish to test me, you should have remembered, love is not a theater for your pride. You tried to humiliate me in my own home, but water will wash your arrogance away." Smiley face. And there he stood, dripping, his pride melting into shame before the watching crowd. The bucket clattered to the ground, ringing like a bell of finality. Adewale's mouth opened, but no words came. His advisor, who had been hiding nearby, rushed forward in horror. "Chief, this is disgraceful. Let us leave." But Adewale could not move. The cold water ran down his back, yet his shame burned hotter than fire. The friends laughed again. Imagine. A billionaire, tested and defeated by the hands of a young woman. Another said, he thought money was his shield, but water has no respect for gold. Lilian, however, did not laugh. Her face was calm, but her words struck like thunder. "You see, Adewale, in our culture, when a woman pours water on a man, it is not just to cool his body. It is a cleansing. You came with lies. You wanted to test me as if I were a thief of hearts. I poured water to wash your deceit." Smiley face. Silence fell again. For the first time in many years, Adewale felt small. Not because he had lost money, but because he had lost honor. News travels fast in Lagos. Before the sun went down, the story had spread like wildfire. "Did you hear? Lilian poured water on Chief Adewale outside her mansion in the presence of her friends." Some laughed in taverns. "Serves him right. Always showing off wealth, now see his disgrace." Others shook their heads. The girl is bold, but who will marry her after humiliating a man of such power?" In his own house, Adewale sat in silence. His clothes still smelled faintly of the bucket's water, though he had changed. His advisors dared not speak. His pride, once his armor, now lay cracked like a broken calabash. Meanwhile, Lilian sat with her grandmother, who listened quietly to the tale. After a long silence, the old woman nodded and said, "Child, you did not shame him. He shamed himself. A man who uses deceit to measure love has already shown he is not ready for marriage. Remember, water washes not only the body, but the truth as well." Smiley face. And so the tale spread, not just as gossip, but as a lesson: love must be built on truth, not on tests born of pride. After the humiliation, Chief Adewale vanished from public gatherings. No more convoys roaring through the streets of Ikoyi. No more laughter spilling from his banquets. Lagos felt strangely quieter without him. People wondered, has Chief run away in shame? Some said, he will rise again, billionaires never stay down for long. Others argued, but this shame is different. Water is not easily forgotten. Inside his mansion, Adewale sat in long silence. His mirror mocked him, reflecting a man whose pride had been broken. Food lost its taste. Music sounded hollow. Even his servants walked carefully, afraid of stepping on the wounds of his ego. But in the stillness of those days, something stirred in his heart. For the first time, Adewale asked himself, was it truly Lilian who humiliated me, or was it my own foolishness? Smiley face. Sometimes, silence is a teacher louder than drums. And Adewale was about to learn lessons that even his billions could not buy. Meanwhile, Lilian lived her life with quiet dignity. Her friends teased her. "Lilian, you are too bold. What if Chief curses you? What if he decides to ruin your family?" But Lilian only smiled faintly. The truth protects more than money. What is the use of marrying a man who thinks love is a trick? She devoted her time to charity, visiting orphanages and helping widows in her community. The people began to see her not only as a woman of beauty, but of strength. Elders said, "This girl is different. She has a lion's heart hidden inside a gentle face." Her story became a lesson for other young women. Mothers told their daughters, "Do not be blinded by riches. Remember Lilian, the one who chose dignity over deception." And though whispers of danger still hung in the air, Lilian's spirit stood tall, like the Iroko tree that refuses to bow even when the storm rages. Weeks later, Adewale returned, not in a boda, not with convoy, but with a single car and a heart humbled by reflection. He came quietly to Lilian's mansion. The gateman stiffened in surprise. "Chief? You again?" This time, there was no crowd, no dramas, no boxes of jewelry. Adewale carried only a staff in his hand, as if to remind himself that wealth without wisdom is emptiness. When Lilian saw him, her eyes narrowed. "Chief Adewale, what brings you here? Do you wish for another test?" But his voice was softer than before. "No, Lilian. I came not with tests, but with truth. I was wrong. I let my pride destroy the meaning of love. I wanted to see if you valued me without riches, but in the process, I exposed myself as a man unworthy of you." His words carried no arrogance. They fell like rain, gentle and cleansing, into the silence of a compound. In Nigerian tradition, when matters of shame and honor weigh heavily, the elders are often called to judge. Lilian's father summoned them, and soon the courtyard was filled with wise men and women seated on carved chairs, their wrappers bright, their walking sticks stepping the earth like drums of truth. Chief Adewale bowed before them. "I confess. I tested Lilian wrongly. I sought to prove her love, but instead, I humiliated her. I have come not to defend myself, but to ask for forgiveness." The elders murmured. One old man with a beard as white as cotton spoke, "Chief, a man who deceives a woman has deceived himself. Love is not built on tricks. If you wish to know her heart, you should have shown her yours." Another elder woman added, "But Lilian, water has already washed away the shame. What remains is your choice. Will you forgive him, or close the door forever?" The compound fell silent. All eyes turned to Lilian, waiting for her decision. Lilian rose slowly, her long hair shimmering like night itself. Her eyes swept over Adewale, then the elders, then her parents, then the friends who had once laughed at the bucket of water. "Chief Adewale," she began softly, "love is not a cage, and I am no bird to be trapped by gold or tricks. What you did was prideful, yes, but I see now that shame has taught you humility. For that, I forgive you." Guests rose in the courtyard. Adewale's head lifted, hope flickering in his eyes. "But forgiveness is not the same as acceptance," Lilian continued firmly. "You and I are not bound together. Our paths must part here. Go and learn to love truthfully, not with tests and deceptions. As for me, my destiny does not lie in your mansion." The elders nodded in agreement. "Wisdom speaks," they said. And just like that, the story of their union ended, not with a wedding feast, but with a lesson carved into the hearts of all who listened. The story traveled across Nigeria like Hamatan fire. In villages, in cities, in marketplaces, and in schools, people spoke of Lilian, the young woman who poured water on a billionaire's bride. Some called her foolish. She could have been rich beyond measure. Others called her brave. She chose dignity over deceit. But all agreed the tale carried power. Musicians turned her story into songs. Griots recited her name in moonlit gatherings. Mothers used her as a proverb, "Do not test love with lies, lest water find you unprepared." As for Adewale, he disappeared from the noisy banquets of the rich. He lived more quietly, reflecting on the folly of his pride. And though he still had wealth, he no longer boasted of it as before. And Lilian. She remained a symbol of strength, a reminder that in the dance between wealth and truth, it is better to stand wet with dignity than dry with deceit. That night, after the elders had dispersed and Adewale had gone home in silence, Lilian sat alone in her chamber. The moonlight poured through her window, silver and calm. But her heart was not at rest. As she closed her eyes, she heard the faint sound of drums, not from the streets, but from the unseen world. Her grandmother's voice, now long gone, whispered in her dreams, "Child, your choice has honored us. You poured water not just on a man's pride, but on the arrogance that blinds generations." The ancestors watched, and they are pleased. In her dream, she saw a river flowing through her compound. Its water sparkled, and from it rose the spirit of a woman clothed in white, holding a calabash. The spirit said, "Water carries truth. When you poured it, you were not only rejecting deceit, you were cleansing the path for others to see clearly." Lilian woke with tears in her eyes, her spirit strengthened. She knew then that her story was no longer hers alone. It had become a proverb, written by the hands of the ancestors themselves. Across town, Adewale tossed and turned. Wealth surrounded him, yet his heart remained restless. Each night, he dreamed of water, buckets, rivers, even the sea itself. In every dream, he was drenched, and Lilian's voice echoed, "Water washes deceit." He sought out spiritualists, asking, "What does this mean?" One old diviner shook his head. "Chief, you thought you were testing her, but in truth, you were the one tested. And you failed. The water you dream of is not punishment, it is a reminder. Until you learn humility, your wealth will bring you no rest." Adewale grew quieter. No more boasting, no more lavish displays. He began to visit the poor in secret, leaving gifts without his name. For the first time, he used his riches not for pride, but for compassion. Yet still, the dreams of water lingered. For some stains, even rivers must flow long before they are washed away. Lilian, meanwhile, chose a new path. She refused suitors who came only for her beauty or her father's wealth. Instead, she turned her heart towards service. She traveled across towns, teaching young girls, supporting widows, speaking to women about dignity and truth. Everywhere she went, people greeted her with songs. Children sang, "The woman who poured water." Elders clapped their hands, saying, "May your kind never vanish from the land." Her name became more than a story, it became a lesson. Villagers whispered, "If your love cannot stand without gold, then it is not love at all. Remember Lilian, for she chose honor over wealth." And with each step she took, the river of her destiny widened, carrying her farther than she ever imagined. One evening, years later, Lilian walked by a great river outside her city. The waters rippled with the glow of sunset, golden yet calm. As she stood there, she felt again the presence of her grandmother's spirit. "Child," the spirit whispered, "do you see how the river flows? It does not boast of its strength. It does not demand to be tested. Yet it nourishes, it cleanses, it endures. This is true love. Quiet, steady, unpretending. At that moment, Lilian understood the deeper meaning of her act years ago. Pouring water was not just rejection, it was alignment with truth itself. She bowed to the river, whispering, "May my story teach others, may no one trade dignity for glitter." And the river, as though answering, sent ripples across its surface, shining like 1,000 approving eyes. As for Adewale, old age found him with fewer friends and quieter halls. But he was no longer the proud man of agbedas and convoys. He became a giver, building schools and hospitals, yet always remembering the day water humbled him. In his final years, he summoned his children and said, "Never test love with lies. Wealth cannot hide deceit. I lost the finest woman I ever met because I thought money was greater than truth. Learn from my mistake." His children listened, wide-eyed. His words, heavy with regret, became his true inheritance to them. And when he finally closed his eyes in death, it was said his spirit saw rivers, calm and endless, flowing toward peace. So it was that the tale of Lilian and the pretending billionaire became a proverb across the land. In markets, mothers warned their daughters, "Do not be blinded by riches, remember Lilian." In gatherings, elders reminded young men, "Do not test love with pride, remember Adewale." And in moonlit nights, griots sang of the bucket of water that washed away arrogance. For in the heart of Africa, stories are not just entertainment. They are rivers of wisdom, flowing from generation to generation. And the lesson of this tale was clear: true love is never a test. It is a trust. Wealth may dazzle, but truth endures. And sometimes, the simplest water speaks louder than 1,000 treasures. And that is the tale of Lilian, the young woman who poured water on pride, and chose dignity over deceit. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think about love, truth, and respect. Smiley face. Then don't just let it end here. Share this wisdom. Tell others the tale, so the river of truth may keep flowing. Remember to like this video, subscribe for more powerful African folktales, and ring the bell, so you never miss a story that carries both mystery and meaning. For in our land, stories are not just told, they are lived. And so the story ends. May its waters wash your spirit clean,